Hey, what's up, guys? This is DB talking now. DB talking birds. DB talking Philadelphia Eagles. Welcome to the chat today, guys. Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday. Jesus, this week's going by quick, in my opinion. Guys, Jalen Hurts came out and said that he is most likely going to play against the Jets this week. Um, I guess that's good news. I want to see Jalen Hurts. I want to see Jalen Hurts have a bounce back game, against the Jets. Obviously, as we all know, we've been talking about all week. Um, he struggled. He struggled against the New York Giants, and it was very uncharacteristic of him. We haven't really seen those types of performances where he's turned the ball over time and time again. So my hope is that he can bounce back. Correct those mistakes. Big play Slay, what's up, my man? Welcome to the chat. How you doing today, my dude? My hope is that he can play like he says he's going to play, and he can turn his bad performance around. Guys, in other news as well, Adam Schefter. Not sure if you heard, but Adam Schefter was pretty much asked, would Russell Wilson waive his trade clause to come to the Philadelphia Eagles, and Adam Schefter pretty much said, yeah, I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's a worry. Uh, Russell Wilson would waive his trade clause in order to come to the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, this comment by Adam Schefter has been kind of overplayed, and I don't think he was talking about the Philadelphia Eagles specifically. Obviously, High Roseman and the organization have always had interest in Russell Wilson, but we'll get there. Um, so it's a matter of I'm pretty sure he was speaking generally. So of Russell Wilson waiving his trade clause for whichever team that he might get traded to. Big Play Slay says, did you hear the Russell Wilson waive claims and stuff? Where now apparently Wilson will waive his trade clause to come to here. I did, yeah. That's kind of what I'm talking about right now. Sorry if I'm on a little bit of delay. Obviously, I'm using a different streaming service today, so um, but yeah, I did. That's kind of what I'm talking about. My personal opinion of that is I believe that Adam Schefter wasn't necessarily talking about the Philadelphia Eagles specifically, even though it was obviously a Philadelphia radio station that were asking him questions in regarding the Philadelphia Eagles and Russell Wilson. I believe that Russell Wilson is unhappy in Seattle, and I think that is indicative of a lot of things that are going on for the Seattle Seahawks and just his performance overall this season. But we'll get there. Um, but I mean, if Russell Wilson waives his trade clause to come to the Philadelphia Eagles and High Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie end up making that trade in the offseason, obviously that would be huge news. That would be big news um, for the Eagles to go ahead and acquire the services of Russell Wilson. So one thing I do want to talk about, obviously, is that when it comes to discussion around Russell Wilson, and the Eagles trading for Russell Wilson. There's a lot of fans that are saying, "Why would you want to trade? Why would you want to trade for a guy who's having the year that he's having? Who's having pretty much a worse year than Jalen Hurts?" Well, here's the thing: Russell Wilson is still a great quarterback, and that's why I want to address this. Russell Wilson is still a great quarterback. Russell Wilson is still Russell Wilson. Um, you know, my opinion is I think he's going through, and this is just relating it to something that we just recently went through. I think he's going through what Carson Wentz went through here in his last year. He doesn't necessarily want to be there. He doesn't necessarily want to be there. They don't have a strong running game. And honestly, I mean there's truth to that when people say, how can you perform at a high level without a strong running game? There's only one. There's really only one quarterback who's done it successfully. Over the last 10 years, and that was Aaron Rodgers before they had Aaron Jones. You know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers had to perform without a strong running game. Um, and Russell Wilson, guys, we know he is his ability to play the game is also predicated on his ability to run the ball, strongly, and make defenders think. Now I know that he can pass the ball successfully. He has become more of a pass first kind of quarterback and a run second kind of quarterback. But if you don't have a running game to take to balance what Russell Wilson is best at, then how are you going to have success? How is that quarterback going to have success? And for all the fans that think that there wouldn't be much of an upgrade if Russell Wilson came to the Philadelphia Eagles and that he's on a downward spiral towards the end of his career. No, he's not. No, he's not. I want to make that perfectly clear. No, he's not. He's just unhappy in Seattle. They're not supporting him. He's asked for support multiple times, and they're not getting him the support. Now, there has been news today around the Seattle Seahawks running game, and yes, they did go ahead and sign Adrian Peterson, but we know Adrian Peterson is a dinosaur at this point. So, uh, he had a few good carries a couple weeks ago. I forgot who picked him. I forgot who picked him up. Oh, Tennessee. Tennessee picked Adrian Peterson up. He had a few good carries in that game for the Tennessee Titans after Derrick Henry went down, but but other than that, he's not going to bring much versatility. He's not the Adrian Peterson of old. I mean, I'm sure we know that perfectly clear. Um, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see what he can bring to the Seattle Seahawks. Maybe Pete Carroll can get some final drops of juice out of Adrian Peterson to sort of help Russell Wilson going forward. But then again, I don't understand the move because they're 3-8 or 3-9 from what I understand. Maybe don't know off the top of my head, and bringing in a veteran like Adrian Peterson just makes absolutely no sense at this point. But guys, obviously, let's jump to this. Jalen Hurts, as I said, did say that he is planning to play. He is planning to play against the New York Jets this week. And how do you guys feel about that? How do you guys feel about that? Obviously, the coaching staff is still going to prepare Gardner Minshew, you know, just as a contingency plan. So, how do you guys feel about that? Birdman 951. What is up, DB? What is good, DB? Not much, my man. How are you doing? How are you doing today? um, yeah. So, how do you guys feel about Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts saying that he's going to play. He was limited in the walkthrough today. So that's one of the things that maybe we can talk about. He was limited to the walkthrough. Are they actually going to play him if Jalen Hurts is going to be limited? Obviously, we know that one of the strengths to his game, or the strength to his game, is the ability to make defenders think and run the football, but and run with the football. But is he going to play? You know, even if he's limited, King Miro says, "I hope Jordan Howard comes back and Jalen to make a comeback game after that horrible loss." Yeah, man, absolutely agreed. Absolutely agreed. I think Jordan Howard is trending in the right direction. One of the things that I think that they might do though is because the Philadelphia Eagles bye week is after this Jets game, they might wait until then to bring Jordan Howard just so he can have that extra week of rest, have that extra week to get healthy. Um, and again, like it's still for me, it's still up in the air whether or not Jalen Hurts is going to go to because we're so close to the bye week. Because we're so close to the bye week. Birdman 951 says no excuses Hurts if you play. I agree. He's got to have a bounce back game. He has to have a bounce back game, especially against the Jets. Especially against the Jets. Um, you need to show quickly that the mistakes that you made in the game against the Giants were correctable, and that you can correct them. Because one, it's the Jets, and two, um, you are on thin ice. You're on thin ice throughout this entire season, regardless. This is your audition year, basically, and you need to show us that you're not going to play that way again. Bird's Boston sports fan says, "What's up, man? I can't stay long, but how are you tonight? Doing well, my man. Doing well. No problem if you can't stay long. Any type of contribution from you, man, is awesome in my book. So, um, yeah, getting back to Jalen Hurts and what he needs to show versus the Jets. He needs to have a great. He needs to have a good passing game. He needs to have a good passing game. Really, preferably a turnoverless passing game. So so that's what I'm going to be looking for from Jalen Hurts if he plays. Obviously, according to him, as I've said prior in the stream, he he says he's going to play on Sunday against the Jets. So if that's the case, and if he's eager to get back out there, as the reports have stated, then he needs to have a good game. He needs to have a good game. King Miro says, I still believe in my QB Hurts. Good, good man. Hey, I mean, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If you still have faith in this guy, then that's great. I'm not here to take that away, and I'm not. And honestly, I'm not. I know what my response was. I know how my reaction was. At prior or after the Giants game, but. After thinking about it, after of course, after a few days of thinking about it, we have to remember that this guy deserves at least the full season to really show what he can do. It's about the body of work, not just week to week, not just week to week. Because if we do that, if we judge a guy off of week to week, then we're gonna lose our minds. We're gonna lose our minds. And obviously there's a lot of Philadelphia Eagles fans who are like that. A lot of Philadelphia sports fans that are like that, not just Eagles fans. But yeah, when it comes to Jalen Hurts, obviously we gotta judge him solely off of his. We gotta judge him based off of the body of work, not just the individual games. You know what I mean? Um, and hopefully he can turn it around. Hopefully he can turn it around. But he needs to show some progression. He needs to show some progression in this week's game against the Jets. And again, I'll emphasize this. It's because it's the Jets, and it's because it's the week after. The week after such a bad performance and mistakes that he made that are uncharacteristic or have been uncharacteristic of him so far this season. So, um, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Kimiro says, "I believe we can go 10-7 if we stay healthy." Hmm. Well, here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say. I still think this team is a 9-8 team. Um, I still, if they can go 10-7, and if they can sweep the Washington football team, and if they can beat the Dallas Cowboys in Week 18, then great. Then great. If they can win out, that's great. Um, but I still hold it. I still hold them to that 8-9 win um, kind of parameters, pretty much. You know what I mean? So for those who have just joined, what do you guys think about Adam Schefter saying that Russell Wilson would waive his trade clause to come to the Philadelphia Eagles? In my opinion, I saw a lot of people kind of, get overly excited, which completely understandable. Get overly excited and think that, oh, okay, it's a done deal. Russell Wilson is going to waive his trade clause. The Eagles are going to trade for him in the off season. Da 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 da. Um, and Joe Banner even spoke on that on Russell Wilson again, and we'll get into that as well. But my personal opinion is I think that basically what Adam Schefter was saying is that Russell Wilson would waive his trade clause for pretty much almost any team. Um, if they were to trade him, if they were to come to that point in the offseason, which it looks like that they're going to. It looks like that they're going to. King Miro says, I don't really see the Cowboys beating the Saints though. No, that's a great point. I jumped on for a little bit yesterday. Did a quick stream yesterday for about 30 minutes. Um, yeah, and I spoke about that, and I think the Saints are going to be tougher competition than the Cowboys give them credit for, and I could see that game coming down to the wire, similar to the Cowboys game that we saw on Thanksgiving versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Um, and I believe that the Saints are getting Taysom Hill ready to play, ready to start that game against the Cowboys tomorrow. So, guys, obviously we know Taysom Hill is able to do some things. You know what I mean? Taysom Hill is able to do some things. So we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see how and what and when and how and what he does. So against the Cowboys. Damien Creative says that's a lot of ifs for a team that cannot maintain possession of the football. Yeah, if you're talking about, uh, if you're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and King Miro saying, "I believe we can go 10-7 if we stay healthy." Uh, yeah, yeah. I mean, here's the thing: we haven't really been healthy. I don't want to go back to this too. Is we haven't really been healthy all season long. Obviously, luckily we got great play from you know luckily we got great play from Jack Driscoll. Landon Dickerson is turning out to be a stud like we wanted him to. Jordan Mailata is just killing people. I've always liked Jack Driscoll. That's another thing I want to talk about too. Is it's a shame because the Philadelphia Eagles just put him on an IR. There is hope that we do get Brandon Brooks back after the bye week. So that should happen. But again, like nobody's healthy at this point. The hope is that you can kind of hamper some of the bumps and bruises that you've maintained throughout the season. When it comes to your bye week, and that's one of the good things about the fact that the Eagles have stayed relatively healthy up until this point because their bye week is so late. Um, you know, Again, when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles turning the ball over, you know, that's the one thing that they weren't doing. It's the one thing that they weren't doing throughout their winning streak is they weren't turning the ball over. And so the hope is that they can get that corrected and they can erase that, and get back on track. But again, you're right, Damien Creative Dad. That is an if. That is an if because Jalen Hurts looked indecisive. Jalen Hurts, made some bad decisions. That some rookies don't even make. So King Mero says, but if Russell comes to Philly, he better bring DK Metcalf with him. You and DK Metcalf, my man. I don't think it's going to be DK Metcalf. I don't think it's going to be DK Metcalf. I don't think the Seattle Seahawks will ever trade DK Metcalf. Damien Grader says, if they best Washington, best Dallas, etc. Yeah, here's my point. Here's my thing. Unfortunately, King Miro, this is the thing: is I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to sweep Washington. Um, and I still have more. I still have more that I want to see from Dallas, as far as them being inconsistent to say that we have a shot at beating them in Week 18. So, um, because they're gonna get some guys back too. They're gonna get Amari Cooper back. They're gonna get CeeDee Lamb back. They're gonna get some guys. Um, I will say this. I am intrigued. I am intrigued by the way our defense has been playing. The defense has been making progress and has been getting better. And 3 weeks in a row, they've shown some good signs of things to come. You know what I mean? So, I'm gonna be interested to see how they continue moving forward, So. King Miro says, I think Washington no names will give us a fight. Here's the thing, about the Washington no names, is they have been. I don't think we're like, and I hate to say this, and I hate to want to bring this up, but I don't think we're giving them enough credit. I've liked their quarterback Taylor Heineke since he had that great wild card game against the Bucks last year. They almost beat the Super Bowl champs in the wild card last year. Taylor Heineke is 1-1 against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. They beat the Buccaneers this year. Um, the Washington football team, they look tough. They look tough, and they're right there, head and head with Philadelphia Eagles as far as maintaining ground in that hunt for that seventh playoff spot. So, um, yeah, I think Washington. I think Washington football team will give us a fight as well, and I think it's gonna be a knockdown dragout all game long when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington football team. If the Philadelphia Eagles, stick to the game plan, stick to what works, stick to how they've been able to have some success this season. Um, so, I think they're going to try to stick to the game plan that works. I think they're going to do it. Obviously, we've heard Nick Sirianni say they've got to stick to what's been working, and the run game has been working. We heard Shane Steichen come out and say that in his press conference this week. He basically, I brought this up yesterday. He basically said, we have to continue to do what works for us, continue to do the successful things that have been successful for us, and that is the run game. But we have to get the pass. But the pass game has to be better. Bottom line. That's what I absolutely loved about this staff this week in their press conferences. Is they were not afraid to take shots at the pass game, which inadvertently is taking a shot at Jalen Hurts. Uh, and with that said, guys, there have been reports as well that the Philadelphia Eagles are still interested in trading for a veteran quarterback. We've seen that all week. We've seen that all season. So, I think the report that I saw on Bleacher Report was that the Philadelphia Eagles were still interested in trading for a Super Bowl winning quarterback. That could be anywhere from Nick Foles to Aaron Rodgers to Russell Wilson. I'm not saying the Philadelphia Eagles are going to trade for Nick Foles, but Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, they obviously don't want to be in the places that they're in anymore. We've known that all season long. So who is it going to be? If it's going to be anybody, my personal opinion is that if it's going to be one of the two, I believe it's going to be Russell Wilson. That's my personal opinion. I think it would be Russell Wilson at the end of the day if something like that were to happen. If something like that were to happen. But um, guys, again, Jalen Hurts has to be better. Jalen Hurts has to be better. It's interesting because Damien Creative brought this up to me yesterday. It was like, he needs to get better at looking off the safety. Yeah, he needs to get better at looking off the safety. And so that made me think a little bit, right? That made me think a little bit, which is, this guy, Jalen Hurts, has issues with looking off the safety. Well, what does that mean? That means, in my opinion, and kind of compiling that into all of the other problems that Jalen Hurts has, is he has an issue with being patient in the pocket. And that's something obviously that we all know. We know that he has an issue with being patient in the pocket. But to look off a safety while standing in the pocket, that's an anticipation thing. That's a timing thing. He has to be able to use that split second, and not get uncomfortable to the point where he can't allow himself to do that, because that split second where you're trying to look off the safety and then you try to go to a different guy, that just gives the defensive line another split second to try and get to you. But my personal opinion about this is that Jalen Hurts has problems with standing in the pocket. He has problems with standing in the pocket. I think, despite the fact, despite all of the indicators that says that he's not a guy who panics. I think he's a guy who panics. I don't think he's a guy who panics, when he needs to go down and drive down the field in that leadership, during those leadership moments where you can prove your leadership. I don't think he's a guy who panics in that regard, but I think he's a guy who does panic when he's in the pocket. I think he is a guy who does panic in the pocket. Therefore, he gets impatient and he makes the wrong reads, or he only goes through one read and then bolts. We've seen it all season long. We've seen it all in season long, and the excuse me, those are the things that can lead to inconsistency, which again is one of the things that we've seen all season long. So is Jalen Hurts a guy who can develop into having the ability to look off a safety? That's like one of the toughest things probably a quarterback can do. That's an ability that comes from a competent quarterback, a quarterback who has all of the attributes that we just talked about: patience, anticipation, who has a high football IQ, who can make the right reads at the line of scrimmage, all that and above, all that and above. So can he develop into a guy that has that ability? Maybe, maybe. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. And we'll get back to that in a second. Let me get to this comment here. King Miro says Rager really needs to step it up like a lot. Rager really needs to step up. I know a lot of Philly fans gave up on him, but I still have hope for him. Yeah, he does. Yes, he does. Let me let me answer that. Yeah, Rager does need to step it up. He needs to step it up a lot. Um, Philly fans are. I mean, here's the thing: we're Philly fans. Obviously, we don't want this guy to be another Nelson Aguilar, right? We don't want this guy to be another Nelson Aguilar. He had these problems at TCU. You know what I mean? He had these issues at TCU, regardless of the amount of production that he had at TCU, and blaming it on the quarterback. A lot of people blamed his final season at TCU on the quarterback. But it doesn't just you can't be at a you can't be in a dance and not have a partner, right? It takes two to tango. So there had to have been something that Jalen Reagor was doing in his final season at TCU as well. The big mistake is Howie Roseman thinking that this guy was worth 2 rounds ahead of where everybody was predicting him to go. Jalen Reagor, my personal opinion about him is, I do believe that there are guys that can come in and play that slot role, and we would get immediate production. We would get immediate more production out of them than Jalen Reagor. And that's not saying much because Jalen Reagor isn't really giving us anything. You know what I mean? Could a John Hightower come in, an unpolished John Hightower come in and give us more production? Maybe. I still have faith that there is something to be found in Jalen Reagor because of his ability and the skill tree that he does possess. He does possess a pretty dynamic skill tree. He's just not bringing it. He's just not, putting it on the field. He's not putting it all together. And I can't tell you why. I couldn't tell you why that is, but I can tell you that it is frustrating for Eagles fans when we see another first round wide receiver not living up to their potential, because that is exactly what Nelson Aguilar did. Nelson Aguilar got better when we drafted Carson Wentz. In 2016, he was benched by Doug Peterson for 2 games, but then he started to make progression when he came back. And then in 2017, we all know what happened with Nelson Aguilar. Nelson Aguilar showed some promise. He's another guy, but he's not like Jalen Reagor in the sense that Nelson Aguilar's confidence was completely wiped off the face of the planet. And he was a guy who only had 1 drop throughout his entire USC career. So completely. So I couldn't tell you. At the time, it looked like they were trying to replace Jeremy Maclin when they drafted Nelson Aguilar. And I remember that very specifically. He was a guy who only had 1 drop throughout his entire USC career. And to me, that equals success. That equals success. That says, hey man, you got great hands. Comes to Philadelphia, wipe it off the face of the planet. Wipe it off the face of the planet. What the fuck happened? What the fuck happened? King Miro says, I want to see more Quez, no cap. I agree. I agree. I want to see more from Quez Watkins as well. I want to see more from Quez Watkins as well. Um, Here's the thing. I don't think us not seeing more from Quez Watkins is solely on Quez Watkins. Um, Again, I think it's nuanced. It's a nuanced topic. One, I think Quez Watkins is still developing, and that's good. That's good for us because he's made a huge jump from year one to year two. My thing is this: is I was one of those people who was shouting at the rooftop for Quez Watkins, all season long last year, all season long, and finally we give him more snaps in like week 14 or whatever it was, and he takes that screen to the house, and it's like, oh, this is what we could have been seeing all along. Well, yeah, it's still what we could have been seeing all along. There's still some of that, and how much fast forward would we be, in Quez Watkins's development if he got the if he got some opportunities earlier in last season. Um, but Quez Watkins earned himself a starting role this year, and and I think that he's still developing, which says a lot about Quez Watkins. His ceiling is really high. I still believe that, and that's something that we're going to get into. But I still believe that. But again, the second layer of that nuanced topic that you bring up, Kimiro, is we need to have a better we need a quarterback who can make the right reads, who can make the right reads, who can throw these guys open, who can make that throw downfield because Quez Watkins is going to beat a lot of defenders in this league. Quez Watkins is going to beat a lot of defenders in this league just with his speed alone. So again, I think that second layer is Jalen Hurts, and is Jalen Hurts going to be that guy? That's the rock and a hard place that we're stuck between right now. Is he embodies everything, from a leadership personality standpoint to represent the city of Philadelphia really, really well. But we want to see him turn that corner as a passer, and he's running out of time. He's running out of time. He is because if there are still questions about Jalen Hurts after the season, it's not going to be Jalen Hurts. It's not going to be Jalen Hurts. I really believe that. I really believe that. So, but could a quarterback, with better passing ability, get it to Quez Watkins more? Probably. Guys, I hate to bring this up, but I bet you Carson Wentz could probably do a lot more with Quez Watkins than Jalen Hurts is doing with Quez Watkins right now. Honestly, honestly, you know, um, and I hate to reference Carson Wentz because guys, that's just asking for heartbreak. Um, but that's kind of what we do as Philadelphia fans is compare the new guy to compare the guy that we had that we could have kept, you know. So um, we did it with Kevin Cobb and Donovan McNabb. Unfortunately, Kevin Cobb didn't have to go through the scrutiny of Philadelphia from the Philadelphia fans as much because he only played a couple games. So, but but yeah, I mean, I honestly believe that with better quarterback play, Quez Watkins would see more opportunities. And that falls, and right now, obviously, guys, we know who the quarterback is. It's Jalen Hurts. So that falls on Jalen Hurts. That falls on Jalen Hurts to get better. It's just I don't understand why it was Jalen Rager who they were targeting more in this game against the Giants. In this game against the Giants. And that's another problem I have too, is that a lot of people blame Nick Sirianni for that final play that for that final pass to Jalen Rager. The first and that's because they thought, and even some Philadelphia podcasters too, they thought that Jalen Rager was the number one option on that play, and he wasn't. He wasn't. Nick Sirianni came out and pretty much said as much. And yeah, usually the guy who's running a crosser is the guy who's your number one option. Guess who's running a crosser on that final play? Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith. He extended the route. He extended the route up the sideline when he saw that Jalen Hurts was in the middle of a scramble drill. So, you know, but Jalen Rager was wide open, and that's kind of where I kind of want to nix that topic. Is Jalen Rager was wide open. Jalen Rager did get open after the scramble drill. He made one of the right reads. There was a safety over top of Devontae Smith. Only few quarterbacks can really make that throw. And I actually wouldn't even say few quarterbacks. There are a lot of quarterbacks that can make that throw. Quarterbacks who know how to really rifle it in tight situations. So, there's more than just a few. It's not just the Aaron Rodgers or the Tom Brady's of the world. Carson Wentz could have made the throw. Andy Dalton may have been able to make that throw. Joe Flacco may have been able to make that throw. But here's the thing: is that knowing how Jalen Hurts was passing all game long, would we really trust him to make that throw in that split second to Devontae Smith up the sideline with a safety over top? He only had a split second, and he just didn't do it. Russell Wilson could make that throw. But guys, getting Jordan Howard back is huge. Another thing that we were talking about, the other day is Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard gives you 25%. It opens up 25% more of your playbook, just with the type of runner he is. You know what I mean? So, so hopefully we can get him back, and he'll be able to bring some balance. He'll be able to bring some balance back to this team. You know what I mean? And that's my hope. That is my hope. What else can we talk about? What else can we talk about, guys? You think you think Adrian Peterson is actually going to have an effect on the Seattle Seahawks running game? Everybody else saw that, right? Adrian Peterson, signed Seattle Seahawks signed Adrian Peterson today. I mean, I don't think they're going to get along. Saints versus the Dallas Cowboys. Let's talk about it. Talk about it. I personally believe that the Saints are going to beat the Cowboys 27-20. 27-20. That's what I see. That's what I'm looking at. It's a bold prediction, but I think it could happen. I think it could happen. The other thing that I want to talk about, guys, now that I'm thinking about it, is does anybody else realize that the Giants have 2 picks in the top 10? 2 picks in the top 10 right now. The New York Giants have 2 picks in the top 10, and they both come before the Philadelphia Eagles pick in round 1. So, the Giants organization and the Giants fans were pissed off that we traded up with the Dallas Cowboys to take Devontae Smith. Well, now they have their shot. Now they have their shot to get back at us, I guess. But guys, I'm not one of those people who's afraid of the Eagles taking a quarterback with one of their with one of their 3 first rounders. Not afraid of. I think they should. And I'll tell you why I think they should. I think they need to bring in a guy who's going to compete with Jalen Hurts. if they're not going to trade for a veteran. I think they need to bring in a guy who can compete with Jalen Hurts, you know? And it wouldn't be just Jalen Hurts. It wouldn't be just Jalen Hurts if they drafted a guy. You know, they're gonna open the if they don't trade for a veteran quarterback in the offseason and they keep Jalen, um, it's gonna be a three-way and they draft the quarterback. It's gonna be a three-way competition. It's gonna be Gardner Minshew versus Jalen Hurts versus whoever. Question mark. You know what I mean? But that's all in the future. That's all in the future. And right now I know that this team is trying to take it week by week. Trying to get players back healthy. Whether it be Jordan Howard or Jalen Hurts getting healthier from his ankle injury on last Sunday. Or when we're gonna get Brandon Brooks back. So I mean, we still have a shot. We still have a shot. But again, as Damien Creative said earlier, there's a lot of ifs. We got to be able to sweep the Washington football team. We got to be able to beat the Dallas Cowboys in Week 18. We got to be able to beat everybody else. This Jets team coming up is not a team to take lightly. I don't think I'm not one of those people who ever thinks that you should take a team lightly. This Jets team has a lot of young players. You have a lot of talented young players on their team. You know what I mean? A lot of talented young players. The defensive line is young, but they're talented. They still have linebacker C.J. Mosley on the team. They have safety Marcus Hay. And obviously we know, Nick Sirianni talked about Zach Wilson today and was asked, you guys did a lot of research on Zach Wilson in the offseason, and what can you tell us? So obviously, the Eagles organization was impressed with Zach Wilson coming out of the draft, coming out of BYU, just like we all were. So Zach Wilson, he's another young, talented quarterback that they have. Obviously, they selected him second overall, and he's going through some rookie growing pains right now, but he's nothing. He's not a player to be taken for granted. He's still a talented player. So, they have good linemen in Elijah Vera Tucker, who they also drafted. They have running back Michael Carter, who they also drafted. They have wide receiver Elijah Moore. All of these guys, a lot of those guys came out of this year's draft class. Honestly, I mean, they had a good draft. They had a good draft. So I wouldn't take any of these guys lightly. So, with that being said, guys, this is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Hopefully we can go out and beat the Jets on Sunday. And hopefully we can do it in convincing fashion. Hopefully we can do it without any turnovers. Hopefully Jalen Hurts can have a bounce back game. And he can continue to show us that he's a quarterback worth having faith in, worth continuing our faith. But we will just have to see. I will be back with you guys probably tomorrow, do another live stream tomorrow. But thank you guys so much for joining in. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. One love and go Birds, baby.